Welcome to the Gamers Among Us channel. We're going to be looking into a really awesome game, Apex Legends. Today, this is the Steel Grizzly and
Trick Enigma
and Calamity Code.
There you go. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and give ours. We're going to kind of do like a three-way review on Apex Legends, and we're going to do a little bit different video than we normally do of our spotlights or our watch list, where the watch list is more of like indie games that you may not know about, whereas the spotlight might be a game that's coming out or has already come out spotlighting that game. But we're going to go ahead and look into Apex Legends. We've all played it. It's been out for a month. We were going to do this earlier, but we wanted to give it some more time to get more things coming out. So first, I guess we can address the gameplay with Apex. I'll let Calamity start on that one.
So with this game, it's obviously, we all know Battle Royales, thanks to Fortnite and a couple other ones, PUBG and Ring of Elysium. We're all pretty familiar with the Battle Royale kind of formula for a game. So this is the latest one that we've seen. It comes to us from Respawn, which are the people that made the Titanfall games. And it's another free-to-play one, which is good because we've had a few that were paid and just not as great, so it's nice to see that somebody else is trying it out and putting out a lot of content for it completely free. But they seem to be pretty successful. They're making a lot of money off of it. But anyway, so in this game, it reminds me a lot of a mix between something like Call of Duty or PUBG, I guess you could say, with something like Overwatch, where you've got different specialists with different abilities. So it really doubles down on teamwork, which is something new for the genre, I think. It's hard to do it by yourself. I think if they did a solo mode, it wouldn't be nearly as fun because a lot of the different specialist abilities work together. So some of the best ways to win really are to utilize the specialists in certain ways. You have to really know what you're best with and what your teammates should have based on what you're using, or vice versa. So there's a lot of different abilities, such as moving faster or throwing a cluster bomb or a zip line so you can get away pretty quickly, or you can create portals to get away that way. There's just all kinds of different things that are really unique, and I think they work really well for a Battle Royale game.
I think personally, I don't know if you just addressed it, but the sliding, like being able to slide makes it, at least in my opinion, makes the game move faster. And I think that's a really awesome aspect.
Yeah, the movement is pretty amazing in this game.
Because I went back to Fortnite and it was way slower compared to Apex. And I think that's one reason why it's really hard for me to ever go back to Fortnite.
Yeah, the lack of fall damage is a real big plus on it. Another thing I kind of liked is, like, there's not really a whole lot of lore to the game, but there's just enough to make it kind of, I guess, a little interesting quirk. Like, it does take place in the Titanfall universe. It's about 30 years after Titanfall 2. And from what you can kind of gather from the characters' bios, there's a war between the IMC and the Frontier Militia. So they're still fighting it out. And, like, some of them, like Bangalore, is a soldier for the IMC. And you got people like Bloodhound, who's just an amazing tracker. And they were saying that apparently Bloodhound was designed originally for Titanfall 2 and was in the concepts for it. And then you've got some twisted-ass people like Caustic who are doing secret toxic experiments on people. And, like, each person has their own fleshed-out personality without spending 20 hours learning their story in the game or stuff like that. Like, you can just go in and play it if you want, or if you want to add character to the people, you can go and spend 5 minutes reading the bio on the Apex page.
I mean, personally, for myself, I think a Battle Royale, I'm just going to drop in and kill things. I don't really care about who they are. But, I mean, there are people who do care. Like, I know that some people are like, you know what, this is important to me. I want to know the backstory. kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like Calamity said, you have that mix of Overwatch where you do have those fleshed out characters, and then you have people from like Call of Duty or PUBG where there's really not. So I think that Apex balanced that out kind of well. Like, you don't have to learn all their stories, but if you want, here's a page where you can read up on it.
I think it's cool that Apex is kind of a melding of Call of Duty and Overwatch in the aspect that it has gameplay like Call of Duty, but it has Overwatch aspects where, like you're saying, you know, it has individual characters, it has their different backstories and whatnot. And what's cool, in my opinion, is they're all kind of like a Call of Duty specialist where they each have like a little skill that they can do. And that kind of increases the gameplay factor more for me, because I could be like, you know what, I'm going to be this one person. I'm going to throw a bomb as my specialist skill, or, you know, I'm going to throw up a shield, you know. And I think a lot of games are going to move towards this style, especially because, I mean, Apex Legends, it came out in the first week? It had over 50 million downloads.
Yeah, we'll let Calamity talk about the launch of Apex here if he has all the info.
Yeah, so when it came out, it was actually a surprise stream by Respawn. So some people knew they were going to talk about a new game, but nobody really knew what it was. And then they released the stream where they kind of just showed a launch trailer for it, and that was February 4th of this year. And so I think towards the end of the stream they said, hey, it's available now, it's free, go ahead and go download it. And it really just instantly took off. It took a lot of people from Fortnite, seems like, which is, in my opinion, a good thing, because it really moves towards a better version of Battle Royale as a whole. But it's been super popular. There hasn't really been any really big negative thing that's happened. You know, every game seems to have that one hiccup where everybody hates it for a little while until they fix something. But so they did release the Battle Pass just this last week, where you can buy do they call it a Battle Pass in this game? Do you know?
They do.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, this season 1, so they're doing seasons now, and with the Battle Pass came the beginning of season 1, which is the Wild Frontier. So the premise is the hunt is on, welcome to the frontier.
Yeah, and so I think that's really cool. It of course does introduce more things that you can spend real money on, which to a lot of people is a negative, but it's another one of those things where I don't think it affects the gameplay that much. You can buy characters with real money, which may or may not give you an advantage depending on your skill level with these different characters, but you can earn those just by playing the game. You don't have to spend money on it, so there's never any advantage to spending real money besides getting to play with a character before someone else does.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, you can still get to it pretty quickly with leveling.
Right. So there's already been a couple updates to the game. They've already added new weapons. Of course, with this first season Battle Pass, they introduced a new character. So it seems like they're really going to support this game for a while. It's nice to see that they added a new gun a couple weeks ago, because that means they are worried about the balance of the game. And, you know, with Fortnite, we saw a lot of guns being introduced and taken out, but it really didn't affect the gameplay that much. Of course, more recently they've been doing things like planes and snowboards, so it's gotten a little bit crazy. Like, it really does change the game, but with this one it feels like they're making it a more solid experience. They're just filling it out and again making it more balanced, as opposed to completely changing how the game feels. And I think that's really awesome, again, for this type of game.
Yeah. Another thing that kind of ties into the balancing is the fact that there were so many at the start of the game. I mean, it's like this with every game, but there really was an issue with people using bots, aim bots, to cheat. Like, for an example, you could get shot with a shotgun from 200 meters away through a window, 5 times in a row, and just be killed. Blatantly obvious that person might be good, but nobody's that good. And then with the new update that came out when the season 1 was launched, they banned, I'm sure the number's grown exponentially from there, but there are over 500,000 players that were banned for using cheat bots. So the fact that they were willing to take that kind of cut to get rid of that issue really says a lot.
Yeah, so it really feels like they care about this game, and that's really awesome because I see it continuing to be successful over the next couple years. I see them continuing to add new things like Overwatch. Overwatch has been going on for a couple years now, and they're still adding new characters. I think this is going to be pretty similar to that.
All in all, even with the issues with the aim bots in the beginning, the lack of actual technical issues that we've experienced, and the surprise factor in the launch, I would give this a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, I agree. So it does have a couple downfalls, which is why we wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10. Of course, it's a Battle Royale, which is always going to be limited just by design as far as things like story. Like there's, besides what Trick mentioned with the character backgrounds, there's really not any story to the game. So if you're looking for that, this isn't the game for you. But
I totally agree.
Overall, it's a really solid experience. I think a lot of people can have fun with it, even if you're not great at shooters or Battle Royale games. We like to jump in, just the three of us, and mess around for the most part. We don't really take it too seriously, and it's a lot of fun that way.
Yeah, I think it's definitely well deserving of that. I think it's changed the game. Fortnite came in, introduced well, actually PUBG and what was it, H1Z1 came in with Battle Royale, and they introduced it. Fortnite refined it, but I think Apex really is taking it to a whole new level.
Alright, and that is our official review of Apex. We may come back later on down the road once they fleshed it out a little bit more and give an updated review, but for now we're going to stick with our 8. If you have any comments, feel free to post them or hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Pantheon, anywhere you want to shout out. And this is Trick Enigma.
It's still Grizzly.
And this is Calamity Code.
And thank you for listening to our Apex review. Have a good one.
Bam, bam, bam.
Stop.